Most businesses fail. That's not negativity, that's just data. But there's some businesses that stay resilient through it all. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the top 6 businesses that rarely, if ever, fail. All right, first up is laundromats. These are one of my favorite boring businesses because they're very simple to understand, and you're not really relying on a ton of human labor in order to build these businesses. You have a couple employees that are looking after the equipment, cleaning, making sure that there's no theft or anything crazy going on at your laundromat. But there's maybe 1 or 2 people per shift max, and so you're really generating quite a bit of revenue for how much labor you're putting into it. There's so many different business models in it, so many different ways to make money. You can have your standard laundromat where you walk in, where the customers walk in, wash their clothes, dry them, and leave. Or you have delivery and pickup that you can offer, which is really popular nowadays. Those make even more money. You also have vending machines in there that you can get revenue from. You also have ATMs in there that you can get revenue from. Little arcade games you can get revenue from. There's so many different ways that you can get revenue from with a laundromat. And yeah, like I said, very, very simple to understand. Typically, when you're getting a laundromat, you're going to be acquiring one that's already set up. You're not typically going to start one from scratch because that's a totally different story. That's going to have a lot more upfront costs that you have to put in. You really got to have some savings in order to do that. So I recommend if you're doing it for the first time, just go ahead and acquire an already profitable laundromat and then just try to improve it and add systems to what they're already doing. And that's what I'm trying to do currently. I'm trying to acquire one. I don't think I would start one from scratch, but if you do start one from scratch, you want to make sure that your rent is as long as possible, because once you have equipment in there, it's very difficult to move your equipment around because you have hundreds of machines, possibly, more likely you have maybe 50 machines in there, but it's a lot to move, very heavy. So you want to be in your location for a long time, and if your rent is constantly increasing, it's tough to stay in the same spot. So if you can negotiate a low rent and then have a long lease with a couple long options, I would say 10-year lease minimum with 2 5-year options so that you can renew and you're not getting absolutely crushed with rent and having to move all your equipment to another location. That's when you see a lot of owners selling. So just make sure if you are also acquiring from somebody else that you're looking at that lease term, because it is very important. And then also checking the equipment, making sure that it's gonna last a while. Typically that people will buy equipment on a loan, and you'll typically go straight to a manufacturer like Dexter, who's the biggest laundromat equipment provider, or can't think of it, Walk-A-Mat or something like that. That is another big one. And there's a couple others in there that you can get financing from that will also provide the equipment. So I really just recommend acquiring one and just seeing how it goes with the acquisition. You can always scale up and get more laundromats and make it into a full brand and start one from, at that point maybe you can start one from scratch. But these are really, they kind of blend investment and business to me because it is pretty passive. It's not completely passive. I'll never say that any business is a passive income stream, but it's pretty close. And there's multiple different revenue streams with it. So this is one of my favorites. All right, number 2 is rental properties. This can be a single family home that you bought and you decide to rent out later, or a multifamily home, really anything to do with real estate that you're renting out some space. You can even have some land and set up on a trailer and rent that out. That's another option. And I'll be honest with you, I love rental properties. These are really when I first started on my financial freedom path, this is where I really dug in. And for a good reason. It's one of the things that makes the most money, and that's where most millions are made. But I feel like nowadays it's been really tough to make money with real estate because of how high the asset values are and because everybody wants to get into real estate. I do think there's so many areas that you can make money. There's little niches within real estate that you can really dig into. So you just gotta find your niche. It's just like YouTube. You gotta find your niche and really dig in. And so with rental properties, there's a ton of different options. Like I said, there's single family rentals, there's multifamily rentals, there's storage units, there's land that you can buy and flip, wholesaling, buying and flipping houses, Airbnb, gosh, what are some other ones? Trailer parks. There's just so many mobile homes, all that stuff. There's a ton of different niches that you can get into. So really find one that just speaks to you, that makes good revenue, that you understand, are passionate about, and go all in, because this is a fantastic business to get into. And again, don't just treat it like an investment. Don't just think you park your money in there and all of a sudden you're gonna get a ton of appreciation. No, you gotta buy it right. You gotta think about the cap rate. You gotta understand these different real estate terminologies to really understand what a good investment is. And at that point, you're gonna crush it. So. Number 3, self-storage. As Americans, we're addicted to stuff and we're never gonna stop buying more things. So that's why I feel like everybody has a storage unit these days. I know I'm thinking about getting one, and it's a very profitable business venture. 100 storage units, you're probably making $10,000 income per month. It's pretty passive. You can put up cameras and have remote access, and you don't really need to hire any employees unless you want one there. And yeah, the industry is booming. It's gonna take off even more as Americans continue to stack up consumer debt and buy more things. So definitely a good industry to get into. 4th is trucking. America runs on wheels, and when supply chains shift, truckers still get paid. Whether it's last mile delivery or long haul freight, there's huge demand. Margins are tighter and the business isn't easy. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, a lot of risks involved, a lot of drivers, getting robbed, theft, things like that just go wrong like any other business. With the right dispatching of 1 or 2 trucks, you're looking at serious income potential, especially in medical delivery or hot shots. You want to get really niched. The riches are in the niches. Number 5 is vending machines. I don't want to sound like a broken record. I ran a route myself, and trust me, it's way more profitable than you might think. I honestly didn't even think about vending machines until I got into the industry, and it's one of the easiest businesses to start. I started with a credit card, $0 in my bank account, and I just started reaching out to locations. Once I had a location, everything else just kind of fell into place. I was able to buy vending machines from a local distributor for refurbished, and I used a credit card to buy them with a 15-month is 0% intro APR. So I didn't pay any interest on it, financed it all through my credit card. And then I just started filling it up, figuring it out as I go. Got a Sam's Club membership, and just got a cooler in the back of my truck and would just drive around and stock it up and figure it out as I went. It was one of the best businesses, one of the best decisions I could have started. Last but not least, this is the business that I started with, and that is a lawn mowing business. I started when I was 10 years old, so I'm telling you, anybody can do it. I just bought a cheap little lawnmower off of Craigslist for $50, and I started knocking on my neighbors' doors, and they, maybe had some sympathy for me because I'm a 10-year-old door knocking, but I made all my money back within 2 jobs and was making bank that summer, and even scaled it up a little bit to I started hiring some friends to join me on jobs and was making some good money as a 10 or 12-year-old. Yeah, I know guys that are my age nowadays and people that I went to school with that are making 6 figures plus with a lawn mowing business. They're not having to put in too much into it, super low startup costs. They just have a truck, a trailer, and just the grit to make it through Texas summers and 100 plus degree heat. So more power to them, and it's a business where you get recurring revenue as well, because typically if somebody hiring you to mow their yard, they're probably gonna hire you on a monthly basis because they need their lawn's gonna keep needing to be mowed, and a lot of people don't want to do it themselves. And why would you when you can hire for somebody for relatively cheap? Once you get those repeat customers, you just want to make sure that you prioritize those, because those are the people that are going to start tipping you more and really driving some more business for you through referrals and various things, because referrals are the most important thing in any service-based business like that, because people are always going to go up and ask their neighbors, hey, who's mowing your yard? It looks super nice. And they're going to recommend you if you're doing a good job. So these 6 businesses have stood the test of time because they solve real problems and they produce steady cash flow. If you're interested in starting your own business, go check out the free vending machine playbook that I linked in the description. It'll show you everything that you need to know about the vending industry, everything that I wish that I knew, and it'll get you in the game. That's what it takes, guys. You got to just get in the game. Start learning about this stuff. Start seeing the cash flow, and you can always scale up from there. Check that in the description. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.